Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Horsemanship Journey podcast. My name is Shane Jacob, your host, and I thank you for taking your time to be with me today. Today's episode is brought to us by Cowboy Cuffs. Elevate your style, elevate your life. Today I want to talk about cowboy values, the cowboy way, the cowboy code. Talk about building grit and courage for ourselves and in our kids. So, my heroes have always been cowboys, like Willie Nelson said, and they still are, it seems. When I was a kid, when I was a young man, I wanted to be a cowboy and do all the cool things that cowboys do. I've done a lot of those cool things. I've been blessed to be able to spend my working career working with horses, and that's been very fortunate. So let's talk a little bit about this. A lot of this idea around kind of the cowboy way and the want to be a cowboy and all the romance and the whole idea of being a cowboy is a lot of this was instilled with as Western movies came to be popular. Matter of fact, the Gene Autry, okay, who starred in movies, I think clear back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, he had his own cowboy code, okay, and it kind of they say that his code reflected the characters he portrayed, which were men of high moral character who stood for what was good, decent, and fair. There's a guy, James Owen, at a place called the Center for Cowboy Ethics and Leadership, and he talks about the idea that cowboy values are part of American Western heritage. And he says that their cowboy values are values that all Americans that can share, no matter what your politics, your religion, or no matter what station you are in life. James says that cowboys are seen as heroic, not just because they take on dangerous jobs and ride broncs and rope wild cattle, but because they stand for something. They stand for principles like honor, loyalty, courage. These things are at the heart of the cowboy way and the cowboy code. There are there's 10, the center, what was it called? The Center for Cowboy Ethics. They have 10 cowboy principles that they use as guidelines. And so let's go through the 10 cowboy principles. I'll tell you what they are. Number 1 is live each day with courage. 2 is take pride in your work. 3 is always finish what you start. 4 is do what has to be done. 5 is be tough but fair. 6 is when you make a promise, keep it. 7 is ride for the brand. 8 is talk less and say more. 9 is remember that some things aren't for sale. And 10 is know where to draw the line. So today, what I want to do is talk a little bit more and kind of dive into 1 and 6. Number 1 was live each day with courage. So courage, I've talked quite a bit about courage. Courage is it's something that it sounds like it sounds like a pretty positive deal. I mean, courage just sounds like, yeah, that's me. I like courage, and it sounds positive, and it sounds like I kind of like that. I think I'm courageous, and we all want to kind of be courageous. It feels inspiring kind of to think of ourselves as courageous, but the truth of the matter is courage is hard. It's really hard sometimes. It's a lot easier to just avoid those things when those things happen than exercise courage, because courage isn't actually doing the thing. It's not simple, and it's simple, but it's not easy. Our default brain, or what I call the natural man brain, it's, what do they call it? The emotional triad. Our brain left unchecked, right? So unintentionally, if we're like not consciously, our brain will guide us to do things that our brain wants us to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. Okay. And so without intentional thoughtful, purposeful thought and action, that's kind of the way that we do things. And courage is not those things, okay? Courage is the opposite of that. Courage means facing that fear and going for what's uncomfortable, and like going through the discomfort, okay, and taking the action anyway. Courage requires self-confidence. Self-confidence is the emotion that we can generate that gives us a feeling that we can, right? That we can, the willingness to feel any emotion, including the fear that when we exercise our confidence. As a matter of fact, self-confidence can be defined as the willingness to feel any emotion. When we have confidence, if we're willing to feel the emotion, the willingness to feel the emotion, we can step up and exercise our fear, feel the discomfort, go through the thing, we can feel the thing and do it anyway. Basically what courage is, right? So what it looks like in real life is it's basically a lack of courage is being afraid of failing and not willing to feel the emotion. We can be afraid of failing, being afraid of rejection, being afraid of humiliation. And courage is just doing it anyway, okay? And then because there's so much more to gain than what there is to lose by the discomfort. There are, here's the thing about courage. If it's a new thing, they call self-confidence the emotion of progress, because as you develop, the skill of generating your own self-confidence allows you to have courage to go through the discomfort and do the thing anyway, not be afraid of failing, not be afraid of embarrassment, humiliation, falling down, what other people think and all of that, or getting whooped. You know what I'm saying? Getting failure on failure in whatever it is that could happen if you do the thing. It's being willing to have that happen and have it be okay anyway and go through it and do it. And that's courage. So what happens though is like as we exercise courage, we develop capability. And as we develop capability in the thing that we're doing, eventually we can look to our past, and because we have all this evidence in our past of what we've done, then we have confidence in a thing, and then it makes it so much easier, and it feels better. It feels easier when we can look to our past. But in order to progress, we don't have the past to look to. So we have to rely on our own ability to generate self-confidence and our own courage to go through the discomfort to make progress. And that is a key thing that if you break it down and understand can help us make the progress that we want to in life. And so that's part of the Cowboy code, is exercising courage. Okay. The second part that I want to talk about in this Cowboy values, if the will, was number 6. And number 6, let me go back to the list, was when you make a promise, keep it. Okay, that was number 6. So let's talk a little bit about that. This is kind of important. And what I'm going to talk about is making a promise to yourself. Okay, so Stephen Covey talked about this. The first time I heard this was in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he's like, make a promise, keep it, make a promise, keep it, make a promise, keep it. And it seems like, okay, that seems like a good idea, but what's the big deal? What does all that mean? Why are you even saying it? And so when we make promises to ourselves, basically, we need to trust ourselves, right? We need to trust ourselves that we're going to follow through. It's basically what discipline is. Discipline is similar to courage in that discipline is being willing to feel some amount of discomfort in exchange for feeling more discomfort and not getting the reward. Discipline is being able to feel a lesser amount of discomfort and get the reward, as opposed to feeling more discomfort and not getting the reward. So let me tell you exactly what that means. So the goal is, okay, with building grit and being disciplined, the goal the goal is to be able to trust ourselves, be able to count on ourselves, to be able to say, you know what? If I put it in my calendar, it's as good as done because it's going to happen. You know what? I keep my promises. If I say I'm going to do a thing, I do the thing. Because because you don't want to be the other way. You need to be able to depend on yourself for so many reasons. And as you become more willing to go through the discomfort of this and become more disciplined, your self-confidence like skyrockets, right? When you become that person that you can really trust and count on and depend on. And it changes how you interact with other people. It changes your ability to trust and depend and to trust other people. And so here's how that goes. Okay. Um, here's an example. Let's just go through an example and break it down exactly what I mean. Okay. It's let's say you set a New Year's resolution. All right, this is it. I usually wake up at 7. I'm waking up at 5 in 2025 for all. I'm changing. I wake up at 5 o'clock now. That's what I do, and I'm going to use the time to be more productive or exercise or whatever I'm going to do. I wake up at 5 o'clock. Period. Right. So you go to bed early. Boom, you're all ready for it, and you're psyched out. You're ready to roll. I mean, you got your alarm set, and that's going to be a new way of living. And 5 o'clock happens, and the alarm goes off, and your brain is, remember, seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. None of those things are getting up and or waking up right now when you're not used to it, right? It's the opposite again. So your brain is going to try to talk you into, just push snooze for a little while. Just, just maybe try it tomorrow. You didn't really get to bed early enough to get a full night's, need maybe a little extra sleep before you begin this. I don't know if you got enough. And I mean, it's not even light outside. So you push snooze or you go back to sleep, and you turn your alarm off. And the next thing you know, it's 7:30 and you wake up and you're not happy. You're not happy with yourself. As a matter of fact, you're not happy for quite a few. You got this voice running in the back of your head that's going, you didn't keep your New Year's resolution last year either. And I can think of a whole bunch of other stuff that you've said that you didn't do. You just didn't do it. You're not doing it. You know what? And on top of that, Shane, you missed out on all the things that you were going to do between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. You didn't do them. And you know what? I don't know about you, Shane. You just didn't wake up, and you said you were going to, and you didn't. And so you try again the next day, and then maybe the next day happens, and about the third day, you're just like, you don't even want to. It's a good thing I didn't really tell anybody about my goal because I'm just not going to do it. Just forget about it. And what's going on inside your head, whether you're aware of it or not, subconscious, whether it's conscious or not, what the thoughts inside of your head are not helping you, and they're not kind to you, and they're not helpful at all of what's going on. And so you have all the discomfort, okay, all day for a long time. You have all this negative impact. And on top of that, you didn't get the reward. You didn't get the 2 hours to make the progress that you wanted to do the whatever it was that you were set the goal to do in the to start with. So it's a lose-lose. And so when I say more discomfort plus not get the reward, that's what I'm talking about. More discomfort for an extended period of time and all the negativity that goes on, and then all of the result of that negative messaging that's going on in your head. It's a bad deal, right? And it's more the net result is more discomfort plus you didn't get the reward. Okay. Let's go back. Let's rewind. Say we had a chance to do it again. January 1st, I set my goal. I'm psyched out. I'm excited. And 5 o'clock comes, and I'm like, I'm doing it. Okay. I'm doing it. I'm doing this thing. I'm focused on the result. And I get up and I mope around, and I'm trying to wake up and find my clothes, and the lights are bright because I don't have a dimmer. And I mean, it's like, who wakes up at 5 o'clock? This is ridiculous. And you're fumbling around you get in the shower and you get, you get your day started. And probably what it would take me usually is about max 15 minutes. Because in 15 minutes, I'm up. I have came from dead sleep to awake and I'm focused. And guess what? I'm feeling pretty good about me. Hey, I did my deal. I woke up at 5 and I'm on fire. I am going and I'm doing my thing and I'm getting my thing. So just see what I'm saying. Okay. I experienced in this thing about 15 minutes max of discomfort, okay, of the initial just getting out of bed and getting going. Okay, it didn't feel good. But guess what I gained? I gained nearly 2 hours of productivity, and I think I'm a rock star. You know what? And I can depend on me. I say something, I do it. That's the way I do things. That's the way I roll. And that's the kind of person I am. And when you deal with me, that's the kind of person you'll deal with. And if you can see what I'm talking about here, this is really the way it goes. And so that is when we make a promise, keep it. The other thing that I didn't say about this is that we are more apt to keep promises for other people if we believe that we're dependable people. So it has this huge result with all the other people. It has a huge consequence. So when we're not keeping our promises, and you know what, here's the deal, it's not going to be 100%, right? This is neither's the courage, by the way. These two are ideals of things to work for as far as cowboy values and the cowboy code. Being courageous, you're not going to probably be courageous every time. Okay, it's an ideal to work towards. It's a habit to form of being willing to feel the discomfort. The same with discipline, because the more that you become disciplined, like I said before, your self-confidence skyrockets. When we make the other choice, right? When we listen to our brain who's telling us not to go through the discomfort, it erodes our trust in ourselves. It leads to self-doubt. Really, it leaves us stuck and discouraged for a long period of time. That's the more discouraged we get. It can also harm how other people perceive us to be. It impacts our relationships and our credibility with other people and so on. So here's the takeaways on that. Okay, here's 4 steps to keep your promises to yourself. Number 1, this is what I like to do, is be realistic about what I commit to. Okay. Now, I'm not saying don't do it unless it's a no-brainer, and don't do it unless it's easy. I'm saying, in my example, okay, if somebody told me to charge hell with a water pistol, I'm loading my pistol and I'm off, sometimes without a lot of thought. And I'm just saying don't do the thing unless it's easy. I am not saying that. All I'm saying is be thoughtful about what you commit to do yourself. Okay. I'm not saying do it I'm saying do it if it's hard, but I'm also saying be intentional and put a little bit of thought into it, because if you do make that commitment, you want to be committed to it and you want to be willing to go through that discomfort. And if you're not, I suggest not making the commitment. So be realistic about what you commit to. Again, does not mean only go for the easy stuff. Okay. That's not what I mean. Step 2 in this, the steps to keep your promises is to, expect that there's going to be discomfort and be willing in advance to feel that discomfort and know that it's going to be a normal part of the process. Okay. Feeling that discomfort is going to be a normal part of the process. 3 is to focus on the positive outcomes of following through. So your focus in this is going to help you make that decision when it happens. And then 4 is just to face that discomfort and go through it and keep your promise. I interviewed Ben Kerr. He's a Olympic wrestler and just an exceptional human being. And one thing that he does to help him in those decision points, when he calls it his decision to be a victim or a victor, in those decision moments, he uses other things to help him make the right decision. One thing that he uses is music. So to help change his state so that he is focused on the result rather than the immediate discomfort. So for example, when that alarm goes off, in my example, he would have a song as his alarm that motivates him or brings him to a place or helps him envision the future, which helps him make that decision easier to go through the discomfort. Just a little fun extra tip of the day from Ben Care. Shout out to Ben Care. So at the heart of these two principles, okay, again, that is living with courage and keeping our promises to ourselves, is a willingness to feel discomfort in exchange for, in the long term, is for, well, even in the short term, but it's in exchange for progress and eventually more joy in your life. Okay. So, hey, they never said that living by the cowboy code or living cowboy principles was easy. They only said it was worth it. And I think that's why our heroes have always been cowboys. Hey, thank you for taking your time to join us today. And remember, you cannot fail as long as you don't ever stop chasing it.